people are kind of mad at this, that the majority of the games are first-person shooters. And what I have to say to those people is it's not going to last long. This is
It's
only
more of a
fad.
phase.
Like Nintendo, that was a phase. That's long gone. Basically,
Yeah,
they're there, but
they're just
gone.
scratching the surface of what everything else has been lately. Maybe.
They're not catching up, but that's a whole other commentary. But it's not gonna last long. But all these people who are trying to blame something, like, you know, who started it? It's 007 GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64.
Now I have to say, I played that game,
That was amazing.
and
game.
I loved it.
Well, that was where you could say Doom for the Super Nintendo is where first-person shooter started.
I never got to play that game. Never really.
It's really old.
Yeah, I know.
It's for the Super Nintendo, but
I personally enjoy where PS2 took their course when
they had everything.
they did have everything, honestly. And
Puzzle games.
I wish the bigger companies started to veer off of, you know, first-person shooters. And I know that Nick said it was a phase and everything, and I'm really wanting to get out of that phase. I'm not going to say I don't like first-person shooters. Of course, I love them. But the thing is, I love other games. And to see that kind of effort that they put into first-person shooters into other games would be really interesting to see.
Let me tell you why the first-person shooters refuse.
Nothing. Keep going.
The reason that first-person shooters refuse to die is that these companies are scared, and I don't know if you know, but 3 or 4 companies are either endangered or have already gone out of business. Some of them being Capcom, Square Enix, THQ is already long gone, and that's because they tried to step out of the first-person genre. Capcom doing Street Fighter, which is not first-person shooter, Square Enix, Final Fantasy, THQ, Darksiders, and whatnot. Those are not first-person shooters, so you can see it's a pattern. And the reason that these companies do not make them is because in these hard economies, you need to make something that's going to sell well, whether you want to or not.
Which is unfortunately what the main companies are doing now. And it's kind of sad to see that most of the games that the companies are trying to get out there and, you know, make a step forward towards the new style of gaming that they want to get out there, to see it go completely under. Yeah,
to do it.
To see it fail is really sad to see, because some of these companies were really good, and just because of the audience, or the majority of the audience, not all the audience, but the majority of the audience sticking to first-person shooters and not even veering off towards, you know, other games, it's really upsetting, because those games are actually really good. And, you know, if people just took the time to either buy them or go to their friend's house and play them or something and put in the disc and see exactly what these people are making, then they might, you know, see a change.
All it takes is one game. One game to change everything. Zelda came along in the N64.
I honestly think BioShock Infinite was an eye-opener.
Still a first-person shooter.
Still a first-person shooter, but it's definitely a different style.
It can open worlds to new types of games, because honestly, if you took the guns out of BioShock Infinite and replaced them with bananas, you couldn't really, I mean, it'd still be BioShock Infinite. Unlike Call of Duty, if you replaced the guns out of Call of Duty and put in magic spells, it wouldn't be Call of Duty. And that's why I think BioShock put in the guns to kind of say, hey guys, we have guns, play our game, but it's not necessary.
It's really sad to see that if you don't have guns in a game, you're gonna fail. I mean, it seems to be like a 90% chance that if you don't have guns in a game, or some kind of, you know, violence of that sort that has to do with modern technology, then your game's not gonna sell. And that's kind of upsetting to see that, you know, the other games that are, you know, they put so much of their time and money into, that are really good, they don't sell well. And which, even though they're really great quality games, they're really well built. And like Nick said, you can take the guns out of BioShock and it would still be BioShock. It would still have the same feel, and it wouldn't be completely different. And it's like you could still play without that element.
The guns are kind of just like a placeholder.
Moneymaker.
Sort of, but,
It's practically like an advertisement.
sort of, but what I do like about it is that they didn't just throw it in the game at the last second. They actually took times on the guns. You can upgrade them. And overall, the guns are actually really nice installment, even though for the reason they probably put them in, it wasn't all the right reasons, but it did turn out nice.
Now, a topic I want to bring up that I honestly don't know much about, and I don't know if Nick knows about it, but is Assassin's Creed, the game style, is it really making any difference?
From the community?
In the community, because I know a lot of people love Assassin's Creed. And I played a little bit of the first one just to see if I could get into the series.
I played through 3.
I played a little bit of 3. Most of the play that I did was online play, and I have to say I was kind of impressed by the online play. Since I didn't have the game personally, I wasn't influenced to play it. But I feel like that, because I know that Assassin's Creed, what's the next one coming out?
Black Flag.
Black Flag. I know that's being released on the PS4 and the 720, and I know people really like it, and I feel like...
Well, yeah, everyone does like it, but it's not influencing games, because I was sitting here when you were talking, trying to think of games that resemble Assassin's Creed in any way, and I honestly can't think of any.
I don't see one that does.
Uncharted is Assassin's Creed with guns.
Almost,
It really is.
It is.
A way better version, a million times a better version. I just
I
like
have
to point
to agree
out.
with that because I don't play either of them, but if I had to pick the two, I'd probably pick Uncharted. Not because of the fact it has guns, just maybe the game style in general I like better. But still, because I know there's a lot of Uncharted fans, and I know there's a lot of Assassin's Creed fans, and I feel like that's kind of the beginning of it, because I feel like for PS4 and the 720 next-gen consoles, that they're going to attempt to make the first games that release on PS4 and 720, they're going to attempt to make these games revolutionary in gaming. In any change that doesn't have to do with guns.
And another thing that I just thought of, we've been sitting here talking about guns, but probably even bigger than first-person shooters, the thing that you have to have in your game, you absolutely have to have, and again, this is another thing that BioShock broke the mold from, you have to have multiplayer, online multiplayer, or your game is not going to succeed in this generation, in the next two.
Yeah, definitely in the next two. It had a good chance if it didn't have multiplayer in this generation, but I feel like the next generation, if it does not have multiplayer, then you don't have a chance. And I don't really like saying that, but I do know that it might happen.
And I'd just like to point out that I know we keep on bringing up BioShock, but it's relevant right now with BioShock Infinite just coming out and us doing a walkthrough of it, but BioShock 2 did have multiplayer, and it failed miserably.
I have to point out that I've never played BioShock 2, the multiplayer, but I can see where he's going with that.
They put it in as the last second. They thought to themselves, okay, all these games are having multiplayer, and we can only sell if we have multiplayer. We have about 1 week left. Let's just throw in a multiplayer. And it failed. BioShock Infinite was supposed to have multiplayer, but due to time constraints, they took it out, and I'm happy to hear that, honestly, because knowing that they had time constraints, that means that they waited until the single player was completed, to start on the multiplayer, which is a good thing, because if they were working on the single player and the multiplayer at the same time, who knows what this game would have turned out to be.
I feel like it could have had a lot of bugs, and I feel like the campaign wouldn't have been as engaging as it is now. I have to admit, for any storyline-based game, I have to be very impressed to be able to play it all the way through, and I know that on BioShock Infinite, I'm actually going to play it all the way through. And to beat a campaign...
Or at least watch me play.
Yes, to at least watch him play. And I know, I don't remember the last time I finished a campaign. Honestly, the last time I finished any storyline was Amnesia, and that's only because it was a horror game, and I'm a horror game fanatic, for anybody that does not know. Which I am excited to hear the release date of Machine for Pigs, which is the second Amnesia, and they're really taking their time on it. It was originally set for Halloween of 2012, and it didn't happen, but I feel like that wouldn't have been a good time to release it because they kept building onto it, and it's going to be, in my opinion, something that's really going to be an excitement for PC players.
Another thing that's trending, horror games, with the introduction of Slender,
And Slender the Arrival.
Well, scratch that. Slender was honestly a fad.
Slender was a phase, and honestly, that was it. The only reason it was a phase was because some commentator found it and everyone started doing it.
Which I hate that commentator. I'm not saying names.
No names.
You notice how he didn't say it, I didn't say it, but we know what we're talking about.
But basically, and yes, we have done Slender, the Arrival commentaries, but
I'm not a fan of
I feel as if
That's not
the new Slender made some sort of course, improvement. It wasn't made by the same people. It was made by Bluehole Studios, which they did a good job on it. But still, the concept is crap. It's not a horror game.
Let's throw you into an environment for about 10 minutes and get you out of there. That's basically it fell into the iPhone game phase, which iPhone games are only a couple minutes long. You download it, play it, and delete it. That's what Slender is.
That is definitely what Slender is. And honestly, that's exactly what I did with the original Slender. I played it, I experienced it, and that was all you could do. And honestly, I never even won. Like, I got bored of it before I could win. Because I already knew what happened. You die anyway.
And I know if the creators of Slender could hear this, I guarantee you, which they're not, but if they could, they'd probably be like, let's make a full Slender game. That'd be horrible. Don't do that.
Don't ever do that. Because a dude in a suit that happens to be twice as big as a human walking around searching for little girls is not that great of a game.
Nope.
I mean, that's like Assassin's Creed Pedophile Edition. That's all it is.
And you're not the assassin.
Or pedophile. And, I mean, some gamers out there probably want to be him. Unfortunately.
Which is unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. But, okay.
But I mean, that's the greatest thing, and this is kind of on a different subject, but that's the good thing about video games is that you can be whatever you want, you can do whatever you want, and once you turn the game off, it's done, it's gone. Like, say you killed 50 million people, you turn your game off, and
you are done.
You didn't
kill anybody.
You didn't kill anybody, and that's why I think video games are so popular, and the people who don't understand that.
You turn on the screen and you can be in a different world at a different time, and it doesn't affect your real life, which is really good. And that's why people who aren't teenagers, people who aren't little kids, they can still enjoy these games because it immerses yourself in a different world, at least for a few minutes.
And all this thing where the whole phase where they're trying to put you in the game with virtual reality and whatnot. Now, it's obviously starting to go downhill. It's failing. And in a sense, I mean, it was cool at the time, but on a subconscious level, the reason we like video games is because it's not real life. And the thing that they're trying to put it into real life, it kind of skewers the concept of video games. I know, although we don't think about it, it's probably in the back of our heads.
Which is true. And, I mean, besides a stress reliever, that's basically what it is. I mean, if you can be playing completely alone or with friends, it really doesn't matter, but at the same time, if you're looking at this screen and you're not paying attention to what's going on or what you did, at work or school or anything you did, it's just a distraction from the bullcrap which is life.
And all these people, mainly parents and whatnot, they don't understand video games, and basically they think that we like seeing blood and getting heads chopped off. That's not necessarily why
Put
you
it
like
this way.
video games.
I don't like blood. I like
In
video
real life.
games. If I was to see someone's head getting chopped off in real life, I probably wouldn't want to. I'd probably look away.
Exactly. I mean,
You don't see me playing Grand Theft Auto and figuring out, oh, I can steal a car in this game. Let's go steal a car in real life and go to jail for 40 years.
it doesn't work like that. And that's one more thing, why you don't usually see video games coming to life as far as people doing video games, because it falls under the category of video games aren't real life, they're not meant to be real life, and we don't want it to be real life.
Pretty much, the main audience is being restricted. And as much as I hate saying that, it's the youth that is the main audience of these games. And because of the violence that these games are having, really is taking a toll on the sales, because it shows as a bad influence when really it's just a distraction. I mean, it's really upsetting that parents in general are taking away from video games profits.
And one thing that I have to say is, it's kind of sad, like, I mean, it's not sad, but it's definitely, okay, like, these games, they build the game for adults. Say a game like Gears of War, there's a bunch of blood and gore. They didn't make the game saying, oh yeah, let's show all these kids guts. No, they built the game for adults, and they put the M rating on it for a reason, and then when these kids play it, and then their parents blame the companies, I mean, like, it's not their, it wasn't their intentions. That's what ratings are for.
Put it this way, they went to GameStop or whatever store they bought it from, and it had an M on the little box on the rating, which obviously means mature. If you're going to buy Gears of War, Battlefield 3, or any other rated M game, which is 50% of the games out there on any decent console or PC, then clearly the parent had to say yes. So where's the blame coming from? The parents. If you didn't want to play your kids playing the games in the first place, don't say yes to the game.
And this is not video game related. It's related to this topic though. I was at the gas station the other day, and I saw a lighter with WWE characters all over it. And I told my dad, I was like, if you still like wrestling, WWE, you're probably not old enough to have a lighter.
Exactly. But this commentary has gone on quite a while, and we're probably going to wrap it up. If we decide there's more topics to talk about, we will be continuing this in a part 2.
It doesn't have to be video games.
Does not have to be video games. Subscribe, like, comment, and honestly, if you have any suggestions or if you have any topics that you want to bring up, then we'll be glad to discuss them.
And I know a lot of these people, I know a lot of our viewers are from Instagram, and they might not be completely into gaming. So if you don't want to hear about gaming, just comment.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know. We'll definitely do that topic next episode.
Whether it's on this channel or my personal channel, SketchyFX14, which most of you from Instagram know that I do vocal covers. Those links will be in the description if you even care to see them. But thank you for watching, and that's...
If you're even still here.
If you're even still here. Well, this has been pretty long. We don't even know what gameplay we're about to put on this video.
We're gonna have to take out a chunk of something.
Probably pointless. Crap.
Yes.
That was a name reference, if you didn't catch that. Mr. I don't know what I'm watching. Okay, this has been Shane Skies, and...
X Spitz.
With an S. And we're off.
Changed it. Follow me on Instagram.
Don't really.